Which country is this one? Not on that list. It's not a third world country. Okay, I'll give you the story. 20 years ago, when I was still in Alaska, you know the place called Alaska? I visited Vancouver to give a conference paper, to present a paper. And then the story at the time was there was a rich guy or businessman from Hong Kong. He went to see some real estates, like housing, right? And the realtor, like in Taiwan, what do we call, the agent, took him to see 15, houses or just buildings, and then he bought 14. Okay, and Vancouver people very unhappy because it just raised the price. Okay, it's almost like right now if we have some rich Shanghai business people coming to Taiwan, and then the realtor took him to see some of the office building, and 10 of them, and he bought 9. Okay, so it's very similar. So this is the story, but which country is this one? So there's a lot of we call backlash against Hong Kong. You understand backlash? Backlash means somehow 中文叫反弹还是什么？不好。What is the word backlash? Do you have a dictionary? Backlash? What's the Chinese word for that? 强烈反对啊 Not good. How's your dictionary? 反作用 Okay. 反感反弹 Okay. So, what's the answer for this one? Nobody? I gave you the story already. Behind it. Okay, this is a country, again, in Europe. Would that help? Of course, Europe, you have, some 50 countries. Not helping? Okay, and this is the week, big week where? In Africa. What happened? What happened in Africa? Oh, another military coup? No, not yet. Not yet. What's the, South Africa? What happened? Oh, the president's wife, is having an affair with his bodyguard or something. Right? We don't know. No, what is it? The World Cup. Okay, now the World Cup, soccer, right? Soccer games, and first time you have the largest number of African countries in this World Cup. How many, Mr. Wu, how many? Do you know? How many countries? First of all, how many countries are participating in this World Cup right now? Make a guess. 35. Okay, how do you divide, how do you move up? 25. How do you move up? Divide into groups, right? So 5 groups. 5 each. And then how do you get, to the next round? Okay, the winner of the group, and then you have 5. So you have one saying, hey, I'm lucky, I don't have to play you, right? So because 4 groups coming out, right? So that I don't think will work. You will give one country idol, we call idol. Don't have to play. So I don't think 25 will work. How many countries? 32, because 32 divide into 8 groups, 4 each, right? And then if you have to be on the top 2 to move to the next round. So from 32 to 16, and then you move up. Okay, so African country, how many this time? No idea. Usually, okay, African country, the first time they went to the World Cup is in 1974. That's not fair, huh? They got independence in 1960. But at the time, only 16 teams are in the World Cup. So they're not very good. The first time, one country went there, and that's the only time that country went there. A country called Zaire. Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo. And that country, so bad, okay? So never went to the second time. And then starting from 1982, you begin to see one country almost like always appear in the World Cup. 6 times this time. Which country? From Africa? 非洲雄狮, huh? Which one? Ghana is here. It's in this time, but it only being the second time. Okay? And Cameroon. Okay, so Cameroon. And usually you will have Cameroon. Nigeria is strong. Ghana, this is second time. And then Cote d'Ivoire is also the second time. And then you have North African countries, usually pretty good, like Algeria, Tunisia, Morocco, but this time it's Algeria, okay? Morocco and Tunisia didn't make it. So you have Algeria, you have Ghana, you have Cameroon, Nigeria, and Ivory Coast, plus South Africa, 6. That's a lot. 8 groups, 6 of them have an African country. So this is a big deal for Africa because in the past they started with 1 country, then 2, then 3, and then 5. Okay, now they have 6, which means they should have 5 because South Africa is the host. So they got 1 extra. Yes? Yeah, Bulgaria. Okay, to protect Canada, that will also help the Asians because the Asians are being targeted. Because Hong Kong people, just so filthy rich. Do you understand filthy rich? What is filthy rich? 中文该怎么翻译？有点像暴发户 ，nouveau rich. But filthy rich means 中文怎么讲？脏的有钱，不是这个意思。中文有没有翻译字典 ？Miss, can you translate this one? Filthy rich. Instead of sending a text message to your boyfriend, just check this one for us. 丑恶啊 ，rich, filthy rich. 丑恶的有钱。You might have seen some of those, right? Hong Kong people, because Hong Kong real estate is very expensive. And even like in a building, right? Here you have a little terrace here. As long as you can put a bed, it's considered a living quarter. 香港的阳台可以放个这个床一样，就算是一个可以住的了。Okay, so small. I have one uncle who live in Hong Kong, living in this very tiny apartment, right? So he is very much into the gadget. Like his bed is like half of them underneath the other one. And then in the evening, he will put them, boom, pop, pop up, and then flat, and then he can sleep. Okay, so they have all kinds of gadgets. Very small, very, we call congested in Hong Kong. So they went to Canada and said, hey, so cheap. Come on, so cheap, right? Filthy rich. So better join the army to change your, people's view of you. Okay, so Bulgaria, I think we finished our, puzzles. Okay, coming back to Africa. Why this is important? Because in 2002, okay, 2002, anyone know who won 1998 World Cup? France. Now, what happened in 2002 to France? Anyone? Okay, they got kicked out the first round without scoring a goal. The 3 games they play, 0-0, 0-1, 0-2. Okay? And they lost 0-1 to which country? Senegal. Oh, don't you think it's good? You've been colonized by France, and now you have a revenge, okay, in the World Cup. 1-0, okay, so that's 1. And then 2002, I think, 2006, we have another opportunity for one other country from Africa to take revenge against its former colonial power. Okay, this time it's a country from Angola, from Africa called Angola. So what was its former colonizing power? Angola. The score is 1-0. Okay, 1-0, 1-0. But unfortunately, this country lost. Angola, colonial power over Angola. Nobody knew? Portugal. Okay? Portugal is the country. So this time, do we have anything? This time, do we see any former colonized power, colonial power against a former colony? I think it's a little bit strange because I think France is not in the same group with Algeria or with Cote d'Ivoire, okay? And Great Britain is not with Ghana or Nigeria. The only one we can find, there is a little bit of colonies and former colonial power. It's called Ghana and Germany. Why? Why Ghana and Germany? Ghana is a British colony. But Ghana has part of its land merged from a country called Togo, Togoland. Okay, Togo was a former German colony and divided to France and Great Britain. And the British part later joined Ghana. So I'm not sure Ghana will have that incentive, to defeat Germany because there's no connection there. But still, there is. Okay. So that's it. Starting from when? World Cup, when will be the first game? Nobody knew. Today is Friday the 11th. Today is the 10th. No, 8th. Today is the 8th. Okay. So it's this week. And remember, this is the only game in the world that is truly global. It's not baseball. It's not basketball. Okay, it is soccer. So Taiwan, can we? I know not in my lifetime, but I'm not sure. In your lifetime, do you think we will ever play in the World Cup? No? Well, at least we can host one, like South Africa. South Africa is not as strong. South Africa ranked 83 in the world. You know, you have 32 countries, right? So you would think you have to be at least in the top 40 to get in. No, you can be 83 like South Africa. But by hosting it, I'm not sure we can host that. Okay, and also, we are now 83. We have 163 maybe. So I'm not sure we are going to be there. And too bad, you know, most of the African countries ranked in the 20s. Okay, so they got in. The top one didn't get in. Which one is the top African country didn't get in this time? They ranked number 12 in the world, Egypt, because Egypt lost an extra game. Okay, they had the exactly identical record as Algeria. So you have to play, we call it sudden death, one more game. But you cannot play in Algeria, and you cannot play in Egypt. So they played in Sudan last year. And Egypt lost 1-0, okay? So Egypt is out. But Egypt has won 3 African Cups. So just interesting. I thought this is, why? Because this is one of the things left by the colonial power. Colonial power left their language, their culture, some of their education system, as well as sports. Okay? So the British and the French left soccer game. Okay, to African countries. And there are a lot of African players as well in Europe playing, right? In Great Britain, in AC Milan, in Italy. Okay, so we want to look at one big question here. In the book, posted by the book about environment protection, environmental protection. Remember, we have developmentalist view, and we also have dependency view. Dependency view will be very easy. I think they are caught right now. The first time, I think they are in trouble, dependency view. Why? They want to have their independent development. And they feel that any kind of connection with the first world is what? Going to be exploitative in nature. Means the first world is going to exploit you. So better cut off that relations. You know, saying, you know, you're not sophisticated enough. The more you associate with the first world, the more you're going to be taken advantage of. So don't do anything with the first world. And then now the first world said, we need to protect our environment. Third world country, no more development. And the dependency people said, hey, who are you telling us that we cannot develop? Right? You already developed, so we want to develop. So on the one hand, the dependency view said we need to have our own development. You know, it's our turn. But on the other hand, dependency view also recognize the devastation of environmental degradation. So that's a big dilemma for the dependency view. What do you do? Okay. The development issue also, development people also have one other way, is we have to deal with how do you protect environment. Remember the guy Francis Fukuyama? Yamaha, Shan, okay, yeah, Fukuyama, right? Fushan. Fushan's view is very easy. How do you protect environment? He said, it's not capitalist development. Capitalist development destroy environment, and then now they said, well, we will spend money to fix it, right? Socialist development saying, no, we don't want all this filthy rich right? We just poor, no development, then it will be easy. The best way of protecting environment, according to Fukuyama, is democracy. Now, what do we mean by democracy here? Means if people recognize the problem, and if it's a democracy, they will have the courage to speak up, to protest, to prevent further damage to environment. So, example, we talked about last week, one of the big problems in the third world, it's a magnificent project everywhere, including Taiwan in the 1950s and 60s, and now we don't want them. What is it? You know, Shimen area, you know, one fish, 4 ways of eating. What is that problem? The big dam. We always consider dam is very good for development, right? For saving water, for irrigation purpose, for electricity. But then people say, oh, it is not good for the environment. So most recently, we have some protest against dam building in Taiwan. So where do we have the dam protesting of dam building? Mystery. Where? In Taiwan? Baoshan吗? I don't think. Do we have any protests against Baoshan? Saying this is environmentally not good for Taiwan, for Hsinchu? No. Everybody said, well, we love Baoshan because Baoshan means a treasure mountain. From here, we just received so much money for our science park. Huh? Where? You don't know? We people in Taiwan actually are not always wanting to have one fish, 3 kinds of eating. 一鱼三吃没有哦，有地方反对建水坝 ，where？ 水库啊，水库 ，OK。You don't know anywhere? May know? Okay. So there are people looking at what do we call this? Environmental impact assessment. They said this is going to hurt. And sometimes people say, oh, this is going to hurt the butterfly of Taiwan, right? Or some kind of, biodiversity. Something will be destroyed. Or Taiwan's freshwater salmon we have. What kind of salmon do we have? Freshwater salmon. 什么？我们有淡水的鲑鱼，樱花沟。Okay. I know we have one reporter. She thought for a while. She saw that guy is turtle. Okay. So when she reported, she's talking about what's the difference between this one and 绿蜥龟. Okay. And this same reporter, so embarrassed, I appeared on her program last week. Anyway, one time, people asked her to read, oh, the helicopter came and then circled around. 直升机在空中盘旋1周. So she said, 盘旋7 days. Like she wanted to change other people's words, right? So yeah, circulating for 1 week. So that's the same reporter, but okay, we have that. We have a freshwater trout, not trout. I'm sorry, salmon. Salmon usually goes into the ocean, so we have some biodiversity here. So dam is a big issue in Taiwan. We have at least our environmental movement stop the building of dam in Meinong. China also has one, Wukai. 林河根. Yeah, where did China build its dam with a lot of protests, but government said, I'm sorry, you know, we are on our own? Which one? China built a lot of dams. Recently, people said, oh, you know, the Mekong River is running out of water in Indochina. Why? Because China built dam up there, keeping the water upstreams. Have you heard of this? In Southeast Asia, in Thailand, in Cambodia, drought. They don't have water because China said, hey, you know, we stop here. So, but China also built a very famous dam. Where? Have you read the, you know, the Three Kingdoms of Romance? Do you know what novel I'm talking about? The Three Kingdoms of Romance. 三国演义 有听过吧? Romance is romance novel, okay? It's not romantic, okay? Romance novel, okay? But anyway, and you know the guy, Zhang Fei, right? There is a temple. You know, China, we love to build temple for famous people, because after they die, we put some, you know, we remember this hero, and then suddenly this hero will have some kind of magical power to protect you, right? So you continue to put offer, and then the more offer you give, you know, the more spiritual and powerful this person became. So we have 张飞庙, 有听过吗? Never heard of. Okay, but anyway, there is a 张飞庙, some kind of temple. But they said because you build this dam, and then the water will be stopped there, and then it will be, you know, submerged into the water. So where is it? In China, in the last 10 years, it was very controversial. And a lot of travel agency will tell you, saying, hey, you need to come to visit, because after the dam is built, then it's going to be different. Where? The Three Musketeers. No, it's not Three Musketeers. It's 三剑客, 不是三峡, Three Gorges. Okay. So that's the dam. But and a lot of people who care about history, a lot of people who care about environment, they ask Chinese government to stop, to, you know, to reevaluate, and China said, no, we're going to do it, because China is not a democracy. Okay? Because Taiwan is a democracy, so we stop it. But is that so black and white? That if you are a democracy, you can stop segregation, you know, destruction of the environment, because people, everyone loves our environment, and then everyone's voice will be heard. No? Why not? Give me an example that is a democracy, but hey, people just continue to destroy the environment. Taiwan, where? I thought we protect our environment. First of all, I have to tell you a few things. First time when I came back to Taiwan after 13 years of absence, right? I left Taiwan in 1978, and the first time I came back in 1991, you know, a totally stranger. But I remember seeing the dark cloud hovering on top of the Taipei city, okay? But now you can see the blue sky. So what do you mean? Tanshui River used to be smelly. Now people are rowing. You know, the young couple are rowing on the Tanshui River. No, I don't think so. But 有吗？有年轻情侣在淡水河划船谈情说爱吗？有在爱河有哦。Okay, but淡水河, at least, I mean, people don't smell that anymore. So what do you mean we're not doing well?
The lands with the science park, something like that.
Okay, so under the good name of science park.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a lot of pollution as well. Okay, that's one. But what else? What else in Taiwan as a democracy? What about all the pollution we have, all the problem we have in southern Taiwan because of our hog industry? What is hog? Pig, raising pig. Raising pig, I'm sorry, is very bad for the environment. But again, this is a wonderful need that the Indonesian do not know how to appreciate, right? So we continue to appreciate a lot of fatty pork, and I'm sorry, they continue to destroy our environment. So yeah, we have what we call interest group politics in a democracy. So you begin to see that. Okay. Interest group politics. Everyone wants to have what? Right? They want development, but any kind of thing, say, thing they feel that is not good, they say, well, as long as it is not in my backyard, will be fine. So this is the best translation, right? 鄰避. You know this one? We discussed this one. But again, must be someone who do not know the difference between this one and the Ling. Ling is this one, right? Is this one? Am I right? Ling is this one. But this is this one. Okay. But your professor is very bad with that anyway. Okay, so democracy, I'm not sure it's the best answer. But the book told you that, look, compared to China and Taiwan and South Korea, because of its being democratic and also because of their people are more vocal, more aggressive, right? They stop a lot of projects. One example, I think, is South Korean has a lot of also high-speed rail. And the environmental groups stop some of them. Connecting Busan and Seoul. Okay. So that's one. In Taiwan, our environmentalist groups, are we powerful now? Still powerful? Can they stop anything? What is the most recent project our environmental movement have stopped? Oh, the new place somewhere close to Nangang. No, it's going to be our science. And what is it? What kind of park is that? Science and biomedical park, right? So it didn't stop. Okay, so we will continue. So democracy is not the answer, but the book also gave you one example, one country, Costa Rica, saying Costa Rica has always been a democracy, but that's a democracy of the elite. And Costa Rica has a huge, we call, ranching industry. What is ranching industry? Li Mukun, Zhang Chunjun, Hong Yanchen. Oh, missing. Liu Huiyu. Yeah. What is, ranching? Ranch. Da Mu Chang. Okay. So what is it? What's that for? Mu Chang. Mu Chang yang mu chao. Okay. So how would that hurt the environment? Wow, I thought that would not be too bad, don't you think? If you have a lot of this grass here. Yeah, growing trees would be nice, but if you can grow grass, it's not that bad. But no, the real purpose for growing grass is what? What's the purpose? How many of you know the place here in Taiwan called Guanyin? Very close to Taoyuan. I visit my friend there. Happen to be farmers, right? I said, what are you growing? He said, grass. I said, I mean, grass. I mean, any economic benefit from the grass? So what's the purpose of growing grass? Yeah, helping us to get rid of our cholesterol, huh? Okay, I remember I used to give my mom all those when she was alive. You know, all those smell just grass. Have you tried those things? Like you know, grass type of vitamin or something. You know, just smell grassy. Okay, because that help you digest, right? No, but not for us. For what? 猫和狗 I don't think they 牛羊 cattle, okay? So it's cattle, mostly cattle. And once you expand the ranch into the farmland or into those forests, and then because cattle raising, we call, is going to be very demanding in terms of land. So Costa Rica raise a lot of cattle, and then this kind of ranching is also devastating to the environment. But they continue to do it. It's a democracy. You know, what happened to the environmentally conscious people? Usually, what do we call those people? Environmentally conscious. Some people deride, 嘲笑他们, call them tree huggers. Hugging the trees. You know, 拥抱树木的人. Okay? So they love trees, right? But this is one example of a democratic country that is not protecting its environment. Now, on the other hand, China being an authoritarian government, if Chinese government said, no more of this, would that help? Protecting environment? No? If China suddenly said, for example, in order to protect biodiversity or diversity, we want to protect panda. Ooh, look how many panda have been saved by an authoritarian government. So my question here is, authoritarian government, once they recognize the importance of protecting environment, would they be more effective? Yang Lide, 叶家豪 missing. Li Junde, do you think China would be more, or authoritarian government will be more effective in protecting environment? No, I mean, some people, Fukuyama said democracy is good to protect environment because people's voice will be heard in a democracy. People will debate. People will not allow, you know, exploitation of land and all that. So that's the better way to protect environment. But the example we have is like Taiwan is not very good right now. Costa Rica has been a democracy, but not, you know, don't we just, in order to protect our environment, why don't we have authoritarian government? No more election. Because the election, every politician is just give you all the promises of development. Remember? Saying we need another airport. Wow, we have one airport. I've been to that airport, Pingdong. Not much going, okay? Just you create more and more concrete, okay? So democracy is really bad, don't you think? Because all the people are promising this, promising that, and hurting the environment. So no more. Or can we trust China in protecting the environment? We already have the three dams, the dams in the three gorges, Okay, 3 gorgeous. Okay, not gorgeous girl. Okay, that gorgeous. Okay, gorge. Okay, 3 gorge. 三峡 哦。Okay. But China's record in environmental protection, is it good? Have you heard about China growing some kind of grass in the northern area to prevent the desertification? And then also, what's this sandstorm coming to Beijing and also to Taiwan right now? So we are also, we should also plant a tree in Mongolia to protect us. But Mr. Lee, my question is still, do you really think authoritarian government will be a better answer?
To some extent, it would.
But they have to recognize it. But if they don't, the problem with authoritarian government is they are more likely to be corrupt. I'm sorry. Democratic government at least has some kind of check and balance. Okay, yes, you can be corrupt, but you cannot be corrupt all the time. Okay, authoritarian government, if they are corrupt, they receive money from the multinational corporation, they open up new area for development. That's possible, don't you think?
Maybe we should establish some kind of more powerful government institute on.
No, I think what we do is putting all those area we think it's very important for protection of environment need to be preserved. Okay, we call conservation. Put online so everybody know these are the one being protected. And any authority is in charge of this. If ever something happens, we will know who is responsible for selling our lands, allowing development, right? So those are possible things to do. But remember this one issue here is we don't know which one is good, democracy or authoritarianism. That is better for development, for protection of the environment. But at least one thing that is for sure is in a democratic society, the importance of conservation, of protecting environment, that particular message can be easily transmitted to everywhere. Okay? In authoritarianism, they would decide whether they want to transmit this one or not. Yeah, panda look cute. Of course you want to protect panda. Who can resist panda? How many of you say, no, I hated panda, right? No, panda is so huggable, right? I'm not sure that's a good thing, for a panda to be so close to human being. But hey, everybody said, oh, I want to leave the panda alone. But then having opportunity for photo, how many of you will reject? Right, with panda. So it's easily said than done. Okay, so but at least you have China will be more, I would say, inconsistent in terms of protecting. They will see what fit their national interest. They will do it. But in a democracy like Taiwan, sometimes we will feel that something really is not good for our economy, but because of the environment, we will continue to do it. Okay, so that's let's take a break here. One country here. What is this country? You You have to read it reverse. Which one? First of all, that's today, right? 6月8号。今天，日本啊，本日。Okay, so that's today. But and I'm sorry, this is a little bit colored. Okay, so if we add another country's capital. Okay, so what is it? We still have Japan. So it's one country plus another country's capital. Both have to be read in reverse. And this capital is not some obscure capital like Bujumbura of Burundi. No, it's not. 不会给你们太深色的啊，你们没听过什么什么 Yaoundé of Cameroon， 你们会记得吗 ？Yamoussoukro of Côte d'Ivoire 不是那么怪的啦，是你们都知道的。Some city you know, a capital. Yeah. Great Britain. So the answer will be 伦敦，日本。把它倒过来念。Okay? So this one is 这个 rated R 是不是？啊，还是 rated PG-13， 还是 rated R restricted？ 你们晓得我在讲什么吧 ？Rated， 电影不是有分级 ？R 是 restricted，PG 是 parental guidance， 还有什么？现在还有 PG-17 吗？有没有 ？PG-13 I know， 13岁以下的。OK，so 同学有没有不懂？没有吧？有答案了啊、不懂。 一定要写出来吗 ？OK， 伦敦，日本。OK， If you still don't understand, ask some mature students. Gosh. Okay. Now, enough of this environment. And remember, last week we also, this is one I just want to show you. We have one country is going to go up against its former colonial power here. Honduras and Chile. They're going to fight against Spain in the World Cup. Okay, so make sure, cheer for Honduras, even though the possibility of its winning, upsetting Spain is about 0.1%. Okay, but still, okay, it will be a miracle if Honduras entered the second round. Okay, but still, okay, so that's one colonized former colony against the colonial power here. Chile Honduras, maybe they can work together. You know, heard some major player from Spain and then won. Okay, okay, enough of that. So coming back to sustainable development, last week we already talked about democracy, authoritarianism, but everywhere, whether you're a democratic country or authoritarian government, people say, oh, we want both, right? We want development and we want to protect environment. And then most people would say, yes, we can have both. No, my answer is no, you cannot have both. Okay, but everybody say yes. So how do we have this we call sustainable development? Democratic countries, authoritarian countries, they all wanted to have both. They would say, hey, we want the development that meet the needs of the present generation without jeopardizing or hurting the ability of the future generations to meet their needs. Okay, I think this is a good answer. Why? Development that meet the needs of the present generation, but without hurting the ability of the future generation to meet their needs. Very easy, because you just ask your future generation to redefine their needs. Right? Okay, the present generation of the Americans, crazy, right? 3 cars, 2 cars. You know, when they sell house, right? In Taiwan, what do we have? Usually we would say, hey, 2 bathrooms, right? 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, something like that. In America, they would say sell house, 2-car garage. Some would say 3-car garage. 可以停3部车的车房. Okay, so in the future, you just tell your in the future generation saying no more. Okay, the government will try to restrict every family only 1 car. That will help. So you just redefine your needs. And when I first went to the United States as a graduate student, I lived in the apartment in Texas. Okay, the apartment in Texas, the weather in Texas in the winter can be cold, northern Texas. So the temperature outside is about 0. Okay, like Celsius 0. So almost snowing, like about that. And inside we have the temperature 80 degrees with the heat. Okay, so inside you're wearing shorts. I still remember very well. My wife asked me to go upstairs to borrow some sugar or something. So, you know, outside it's snowing, I wear my shorts and going upstairs because they're also very warm. And American apartments, usually they say utility included. So which means how much water, how much electricity you use, the same rent. So nobody cares. Oh, good. You know, you're enjoying the blast of the heater in the winter, right? And then in the summer times, American president by the name of Richard Nixon said, you know, it's in the middle of July, but I just want to get the feeling of the fireside. So, you know, get the fire going. 这个叫什么？壁炉，好有气氛， right? So turn on the air condition so you can enjoy the fireside inside the White House. Okay, so those, I think, are how you know, are not caring about the need. So what did American President Jimmy Carter said in the 1970s? He finally said, American, would you please do one thing? Just learn to wear like Asians, layer after layer. Americans always wear a heavy coat and then get inside the building, get off into just shorts because the inside is very warm. So that's why Jimmy Carter suggests everybody wearing cardigan, right? What is cardigan? Last semester when I teach this, what is a cardigan? 羊毛衫. 不是，也不是羊毛衫。What is a cardigan? Cardigan is 老人穿的毛衣。Okay, means button here. Okay. You know those? Like you would never want your boyfriend to wear that, right? But if it's your father, that would be fine. Okay. But that's easier to take off, right? So layer after layer. So that's one way of changing the mentality. And I'm also, doing something myself. But this is one way. Just you redefine the need. Okay? In the past, you may think this is what you need. And in the future, you just redefine the need, and then probably you can meet it, that need of the future generation. So remember, sustainable development means you develop to meet the needs of the present generation without hurting the ability of the future generation to meet their needs. But to me, you redefine the needs of the future generation. Okay? You would tell the young people in the future, say, hey, sweating is good for your health. Instead of staying in an air-conditioned room, sometimes sweating is good. Okay, I can tell you one experience I have, because I live in Alaska for 8 years. And Alaska temperature is usually very cool. Even in the summer, the temperature is about 20 degrees. And that's the only place I think you can mow the lawn without sweating. Okay? So I have not been sweating for quite a while, until one summer I went to Washington, D.C. to teach the summer school there. And then the temperature in the summer in Washington, D.C., first of all, humid, like Taipei. And then I came out of the subway, 9 o'clock in the evening, the temperature is still over 30 degrees. I said, wow, I was sweating, like it's all wet. I said, I never had such a great feeling of sweating. So maybe we should teach our kids saying sweating is good for your health. Okay? So then we redefine the need. And then the temperature, for example, right now, how do we turn on the air conditioner? What would be the temperature that we are supposed to follow that rule? What is the temperature? Below that or above that, we can turn on the air conditioner. 20, 28. Okay, it's supposed to be 28. Okay, so you need to adjust. But I'm not sure how many of you, look at your thermometer here, it's 28. I think usually it's 26, right? So that's the one. And so redefine the need. Okay, so sustainable development also create a problem for the dependency theory, right? Dependency theory, you want, finally, it's your turn for development. Do you want to compromise, your aspiration? Because the rich country that have already enjoyed everything said, hey, you should not do it. Okay, so that's a big one. Now, coming back to the conclusion part about dependency and development view. Okay, interesting thing happened over the weekend. If you're interested in this one, Zhu Junwei. 在 Yang Wenting. Now, what happened to this company called Foxconn? You know Foxconn? Foxconn, unfortunately, they said it is a Taiwanese company. Okay? And unfortunately, on BBC, say, Taiwan company, suicide. Okay, so. But you say, it's not in Taiwan. Who cares? Now, what happened over the weekend? Foxconn. Well, that's 2 weeks ago. What happened over the last weekend? Yeah, okay. They increased their salary, right? 30% more. Okay, 30% more. Now, is Foxconn a multinational company working the core of the core, working with the core of China to exploit the periphery of that China's periphery. They're paying the best right now, right? Because of them, Honda also raised the salary, the wages to somewhere about 24%, 25%. And other Taiwan company in the area probably will have to follow. So my question is, according to the dependency view, right, Foxconn is evil. Foxconn is exploiting China. Look, the evidence is here, right? They committed suicide, but they are paying the best. So how do you explain this? Just saying, you know, well, they are all from the one-kid family. They have been so fragile, just like you know, some of the contents in the post office mailbox, you know, outside. Remember the box outside the 邮局的那个什么纸箱上面写什么？易碎，小心轻放。So most of the Chinese workers are very fragile, handled with care. Huh? Is that the reason? Do you think it's a very interesting thing here? Everybody condemned Foxconn. Yet Foxconn paid the best in the area. And now they raised the money, you know, the wages, 30%. So if you from the dependency view, how do you explain that? How do we explain Foxconn's action of pay increase for workers that they are supposed to exploit? They're supposed to be, we call, zero-sum game. You understand zero-sum? 零和游戏. Because the more you pay the wages, the less your profit, right? So my question is, why will Guo Taiming willing to pay 30% more? Just to stop the suicide?
I think they try to maintain the cooperation with like Apple.
Okay, so they want to make sure. No, Apple and Dell, these are two evil companies as well, right? they make so much profit, and then they, you know, ask Foxconn for a little profit here, and then Foxconn has some problem, then they pretend they are the, you know, the righteous people. Say, oh, you need to take care of those. You know, I cannot buy product from you. But if you pay more higher, you know, money for the products of Foxconn, then Foxconn doesn't have to exploit people, right? If the CEO from Apple or, you know, Dell get less money, and those money went to the Foxconn people, it would be better. So how do you explain? Okay, so they're under pressure. Oh, that's exploitation. That's the core exploiting the semi-periphery. And then the semi-periphery exploit the periphery. But what's the other reason? Can we, you know, why are they raising salary? Oh, they just didn't realize they exploit too much. You know, they, in order to continue to their exploitation, they have to let go a little bit. 是这样的吗？为了以后长久还可以再剥削，只好现在忍痛稍微小小牺牲一下。Okay, this is an interesting issue because the same thing we look at other country, and people say Foxconn is phony because they have all kinds of good facilities, they have, you know, nice environment, but if you do not have a good working condition for people, people cannot enjoy those environments. But it's the same thing here in Science Park, don't you think? Most of the Science Park people, they live in a great, you know, 透天厝, very beautiful place, and then they work until 10 o'clock in the evening, and they never enjoy. They had nice, living quarters. So I'm not sure that's good. But this is one example of core and periphery. And the third world, should the third world welcome this kind of investment? And China, you said being exploited, but China now is forcing the company to raise wages. So China is moving up as well. Isn't that the same as Taiwan, as South Korea before? This is what the developmentalists were saying. If you follow every country, eventually you will move up instead of being exploited through your isolation. Okay, question here. Wen Jiabao. Everybody heard of Wen Jiabao? Who is Wen Jiabao? Never heard of Wen Jiabao? Like, you microwave your home treasures or something. No. Keep it warm. Wen Jiabao. Okay. The premier of China, right now, in a most important, our big representative of the darling of dependency view, of dependency school. Right now, how many countries are the darling of dependency school? Saying, no, we don't associate with the outside world. Which country do not associate with the outside world at all? Just self-imposed isolation. Which country is, involved in self-imposed isolation? I don't think it's Honduras. I don't think it's Paraguay. North Korea is one. China is isolation? No, I don't think so. Oh. China in the 50s and 60s maybe, but not anymore. No. Another country in Asia. The lady Aung San Suu Kyi. Very close to Thailand. Would I help you? You took the map test, okay? Which one? Myanmar. Okay, so Myanmar is the darling. I think, the dependency theory would say, hey, look, this is our darling, doesn't want to be associated with the outside world, except selling drugs, making money by selling drugs, selling opium, all right? But that's the country now. But the reality is this is the worst country in Asia now, right, in terms of standard of living. So where is the appeal of this dependency theory now? If you tell everybody saying, okay, don't associate yourself with the industrial, the core, because you're going to be exploited. You're not going to have, your definition of human rights. You have to follow their view of, economic development. And at the end, you're going to be exploited. So by pursuing a self-reliant, I love that word, self-reliant. What do you mean by self-reliant? 自给自足, how many of you are pursuing this? Telling your parents, say, I want to be self-reliant. So don't dictate my life. 不拿父母金钱就完全可以不理父母。可是你们还说没关系，我还是发展。According to development theory, I just follow what they tell us, step by step, right? Because it would be difficult to follow the dependency view and then continue to be exploited and dictated by your parents. It's easier, huh? Okay, so again, going back to this question, I want to ask you is, where is the appeal of dependency? Is dependency dead? Do we find anything here? Okay, if you don't like dependency theory, you can say dependency, go away. You know, it's not useful at all. But if you're still thinking that the Western countries are pretty evil, like I do, then you say, how can we rescue the dependency theory to be more applicable? So thank God we have one president from Brazil who used to be a dependency theory advocate called Cardoso, Henrique Fernando Cardoso. Okay, in his book, okay, on Brazil, I think he's talked about his view, but he is the one in the 1960s saying, yes, association with the Western world can be exploitative in nature, but you can also take the advantage having some development by your own. Okay, so you know it's dangerous, but you need to take advantage of that association. So somehow he doesn't like the rich and the poor, the core and the periphery, but he is not saying being in the periphery, you just have to cut off your relations. That's the only answer. He said association with the core can be productive. And he looked at Taiwan and South Korea, and that's his answer. Okay, so this is his view. So in the final, you will be asked about dependency and development. I want you to think of one area, you know, in terms of economic development, in terms of human rights or women's rights, you know, how they are different. You know, like women's rights, right? Again, it's cut off the tie with the mainstream, right? By developing self-reliant, your own women's line. So instead of joining the mainstream sectors. So it's the same thing, okay? Cut off or continue the association, but improving your status. Okay? I think some people would say improving your status with this tie, but the real development theory is not asking even you to improve, just saying you follow what they did, you will be successful. So one interesting thing in the past few decades, we find out China already moved from the periphery or from the socialist view, from the isolation to capitalist, and then Eastern Europe did the same thing. What's the most obvious things in the globalization nowadays? Everywhere people look at the same issue is some student mentioned about the M, right? Society, the maldistribution of income. And again, okay, or we call unequal distribution, okay, of income. So what does that mean? Li Qing'en. Yeah, what does that mean? What do we mean by unequal distribution of income?
It means that the rich are richer, the poor are poor.
Okay, so what's wrong with that? Rich people work hard. Don't you think they should be rewarded?
Well, the society is not commonly distributed. There are a lot of problems, like privileges.
But don't you think poor people should know the reasons why they are poor? They don't work hard. No? You cannot accept that? Sorry, you're just not lucky. I got good parents. So what's the problem here? Everywhere. It's not just, okay, Taiwan, we used to be more equally distributed. Okay, but now we have widening income gap. China, hey, China is a socialist country, supposed to be equal, right? Equally poor before, but then that crazy short guy called Deng Xiaoping said something called what? I don't care whether a cat is black or white, as long as it catches mice. 不管黑猫白猫，会捉老鼠就是好猫。And then also he said something very bad as well. He said, in order for income to be redistributed, we need to have some people get rich first. But those people who get rich never really want to distribute their income. So China is very bad right now. Other countries as well. Eastern Europe used to be very equally distributed. The most equal society in the world you will find in Hungary, in Czechoslovakia, but not anymore. So my question is, with this widening of income distribution, don't you think dependency theory has a view here? You are creating more social problems if you follow the capitalist, the developmental view.
I think there are problems, but if you don't catch up with the other developing countries or developed countries, well, I think it's like not following the tide, and maybe we'll be left out by the others of the world.
But if you catch up, only few people benefit from that, right? But not everyone else. Why should I? If majority people in the country, why would they, follow the path? Only those rich people get richer, and I don't get anything. What do we call it? They have the meat. I don't even have the bone or soup. 有钱人在吃肉，我在喝汤 ？No， 啃骨头也不是，是渣子。Okay. So how do you explain that? Why would people want to be, go along with this?
Because people are greedy. They just want to get richer.
Okay, so my question here then is, by losing its appeal, most countries begin to be part of the capitalist world system now. And then you have widening income gap, right? Don't you think that would be a great opportunity for socialist revolution now? If I go out and say, look, you have been exploited. People say, yeah, I used to live very poor. My next door neighbor is also very poor. But now I have one apartment, but he has 3. That's not bad. That's not good. I improved just a little bit, but he improved this much. I don't feel good. So do you think this is a good time for socialist revolution? That people will really feel fed up by this? And look at all this financial crisis. Look at all the CEO everywhere, so greedy. So do you think we should go back to the good old days of Eastern European socialism?
I don't know. I guess people just tend to endure all this, but I think some people will become militant and probably will go on strike or something.
Mm-hmm. China already, Honda factories in Shenzhen, the workers actually went on strike. Right? So if they went on strike and the company said, oh, okay, I'll pay you 25% more. Oh, I would see a lot of strikes in China. Right? Everybody is going to ask, and then what will happen?
And then everybody will have to raise.
And then all the factories say, bye-bye. If you're so militant, if you're demanding so much, we'll go to Vietnam. And then what's the next after Vietnam? India? India probably have better organized labor. Who knows, right? So this is a debate I think will continue for a long time, because the dependency view, right, I think is still valid because there's still exploitation. You still have a dichotomy of core periphery, all those industrialized and developed, and then underdeveloped, trying to industrialize. So you have those dichotomy continue to exist. And what is the best way for development? And then you almost have to come back and ask, how do you define development? Is development really the only, what's the word we use? Single direction. Do you remember this word? You know, like, right? Linear direction going. 线性代数 algebra. No, linear development. Okay, is this the only one, or there's an alternative? Okay, for developing country. So you have to think about this. The same thing in Taiwan. Do we have to follow the past before, like medical, high-tech industry, pharmaceutical company, or do we want to think of going back to the easier, older days of less development? How do you define? So, again, developmental theory is very, I would consider that as a conservative theory. You know, just saying if you follow this, you'll become successful. But they overlook one very important thing. What is that? Yao Yuqing. What did they overlook? You know, the developmental, they're saying, hey, you know, this is how we went through, right? So you just follow what we did before, you will be successful. But they overlook, they miss one thing. What is that? Okay, they miss the individual variance of the country, of the culture and everything, but also they miss another one. When they develop their country, there is no core before. Okay, so they would not have to compete with the core, and they exploit the periphery. Now you can say, yeah, if you follow me, well, you can still find someone to exploit. Like China is still exploiting Africa, right? Getting cheap raw materials and all that. So you can still find periphery to exploit. But you have to compete with the core, which they didn't. You know, when Great Britain developed, where is the core? There is no core. Okay, so that's the one thing. You are putting these developing countries in a path that is not the same as your path you have experienced. Let me give you one example of university teaching. Okay, so nowadays everybody knows in the university we have to publish or perish, right? Have you heard of this publish or perish? 不出版就毁灭，是这样的吗？就完蛋。Okay, but so we try to design, asking the new professors to teach less courses so they can do more publication. But some of the older professors are not very happy with saying, why are the younger professors, the new assistant professor, they can teach less courses, right? We did the same thing and we survived. Why do we have to give them privilege? So last time during the debate, the only thing I can say is because when you were professor, associate professor, first of all, you only have 2 ranks, associate and full professor. Now they have 3 ranks, assistant, associate, and full professor. And also, if you were bad as an associate professor, fine, you just retire as an associate professor. But now the young assistant professor, if they didn't pass the requirement, then they're gone. They'll be let go. So they don't have job protection. So it's a different kind of situation. The same thing for developing country nowadays. Not only do they have to compete with fellow developing countries, with developed countries, and then with the future developing countries. So a lot of developing countries we call are being squeezed. Okay, and in the past, the developed countries, they don't have something from the top to squeeze them. So that's the major difference. So if you want developing country to follow your path, I'm sorry, it's not the same. It's like a lot of your parents ask you to do something like they did before. I'm sorry, it's different. Okay, so this is what you can tell your parents. Okay, saying, hey, you're talking about two different scenarios. It's totally different now. Okay, then that's the same thing with the dependency view. Okay, I think that's all we have. And any question for the final, the review I gave you? I have not received any student ask me question. I think you're all very well prepared. You know, right? And there is one extra questions, right? On. Okay, prepare one extra credits. I'll give you for all those puzzles, Chinese riddles we went through over the semester. I know that would not be fair for you, so I have one extra question for you. It's about, you know, the sports. Okay. Would that be fair for you, Ms. Tang? Huh? Latin American sports like, you know, Manny Ramirez from which country? Huh? Johan Santana? No? You don't even know who is Johan Santana. Never heard of Johan Santana. 啊，我们外籍生，我们给他们一点拉丁的这个棒球球员，好吗？然后跟那个国家来 match， 啊，可他也没听过 Johan Santana。Johan Santana 有没有人听过 ？From which country? Manny Ramirez. Okay. Freddie Garcia is from the same country, I think, of Johan Santana. From Venezuela. Yeah. Venezuela. You have a baseball player from Puerto Rico, from Dominican Republic, from Mexico, right? From a lot of countries. Okay. See you next week.